The Black Studies program at Cleveland State University welcomes you to this season of Images, a public affairs radio forum dedicated to open dialogue on a variety of diverse topics of interest and issues of concern, which focus on the life and experiences of African Americans and all peoples of African descent. By visiting our website at www.csuohio.edu/blackstudies or calling 216-687-3655, you can learn more about upcoming Black Studies program events and activities. Now, here is your host for Images.
And welcome to Images. I'm Prester Pickett, your host for this broadcast of Images. Very excited to have a conversation today with our new men's basketball coach, Coach Dennis Ray Gates II. Coach Gates, welcome to Images.
Thanks for having me.
We also have a student, a senior here at Cleveland State University, Sean Gooden. He is studying sports management and intends to consider a career in sports journalism. So we're giving him a little early advanced opportunities to connect with our coach and to consider how this conversation will advance him into the career he's looking at. Sean, welcome to Images.
How you doing?
With this conversation, Coach Gates, if you can introduce yourself to our listening audience almost in the same way you introduce yourself to our Cleveland State University community, with President Sands being an individual to show how excited he was to have you join us as our new coach.
Well, like you said, my name's Dennis Ray Gates II. I am glad to serve as the head men's basketball coach here at Cleveland State University. By way of Chicago, Illinois. I'm originally born and raised in Chicago. I departed Chicago at the age of 18 when I decided to attend University of California, Berkeley on a full scholarship. And soon after that, I got my master's. That was very important that I got an advanced degree. And more importantly, show an example to my younger brothers. Soon after that, I began my coaching career. And I've been coaching for the last 18 years, and it may not look like it, but there are some gray hairs coming soon as I continue to get into this profession, and I'm excited, like I said, to be here.
That's the wisdom that we're looking forward to see as well. With you, Sean, a quick introduction about your previous experience as a basketball player so that we can connect this whole conversation, and even with Coach Gates, understand that with Black Studies, we're working with, through the Howard Mims Cultural Center, students, yes, who major in Black Studies, but we also work with students who are interested in the Black experience. All of our students learn through the efforts of the Howard Mims African American Cultural Center. So Coach would like to hear how students who are not on his team can advance by being a part of the efforts and this larger team that's going to bring people over to our games. Give us your background story about basketball and how this language will connect at this table during this conversation.
Well, yeah, I speak that language well. I've been playing basketball since the age of 4. To play basketball, I went to Benedictine High School my freshman year, and I ended up transferring to Charles F. Brush High School my 10th grade year. I've been playing AAU since I was a young kid, basketball every day throughout the week. And I actually when I played basketball in high school, I should end up getting injured my junior year. I suffered a bad back injury, and I couldn't play my whole senior year. And ever since then, I've just been working out, trying to get back to it, get back on the court some type of way, but also trying to, get my degree and get my education at the same time.
And now your path in getting back to the courts is this career path, because again, there are so many individuals connected to the sport, the larger team that makes what we see on the court happen. Coach, can you explain this concept of teamwork and how large this team is, even with Cleveland State University, yes, but more specifically with the athletic department, and how you are working with colleagues in the athletic department to make things happen for our great university?
Right. I think it expands far beyond even the university. It's a community program, and I truly believe the basketball community in Cleveland, Ohio area, there's rich tradition that comes out of this area. You can go all the way back to the early 50s to even now, but the most important part that I see on this campus is a family atmosphere, and it's a family atmosphere in the community. Our guys are responsible for winning championships in 3 areas, and we talk about them. We talk about winning championships in the classroom, on the court, and winning championships in the community. And for as long as we focus in those 3 areas of winning championships, we'll see that tradition come back. And that's very important when we talk about building the program, because it's not just my program, it's just not the players' program, it's not the community's program, but it's the alumni who built, who have blood in these bricks. It's about the professors here now, it's about the current students and the future students, the high school students in this area, because at the end of the day, we're about building that experience up. And for as long as we're the sports program here at Cleveland State University, and one of many successful ones, we have a responsibility, and that responsibility is to do right by our student athletes, and then the other is graduating these student athletes into better citizens in this area.
And you are already a role model in the short time that you've been here, and this is why we've invited Sean to this conversation, because you become part of his network, and will be perceived for this short period of time that he has before he crosses that stage and receives his degree, for you to be the role model in that period. So who were the role models for you, and how did they impact your life and direct you to eventually become Coach Gates of Cleveland State University's winning men's basketball team?
Well, I'll say this. There is some important people in my life that allowed me not to fail. They pushed me every day. They made sure I was doing right, not only in academics, but also athletics. Whenever I thought about looking left or going or straying off that path, I was quickly hooked back onto that straight and narrow. And I think, educators and professors and coaches, especially those in inner city communities, they don't get enough respect. They don't get enough, I just feel that those people played an integral part in my life. And so my high school coach, George Stanton, he did an unbelievable job in notifying me of what I had, and that was the ability to lead. He saw leadership skills in me as a player, and he saw it at an early age because he was my coach since I was 14 years old. And you go from there, you look at Leonard Hamilton. Leonard Hamilton is the longest tenured African-American coach in college basketball. He's a guy that gave me an opportunity as a graduate assistant, where I ended up graduating and getting my master's from Florida State University. And I worked for him and with him for the last 9 years. And then other mentor that I've had was George Raveling. George Raveling is a unbelievable coach, and actually a quick fact, George Raveling owns the speech of Dr. Martin Luther King, and he was on that stage as a bodyguard at that time in Washington, D.C. So I Have a Dream speech that was sort of written is owned by George Raveling, one of my other mentors. He's the one that's responsible directly for connecting me with Leonard Hamilton.
Well, that's going to give us another opportunity to invite you back and utilize your network, because that's what we're hoping our students like Sean will see, is that the wealth of Cleveland State University comes as well through how our professionals, how our professors, faculty, and students are connected to other people, particularly our alumni. Now we show Sean that we learn from our students. He's one of our students in our urban studies course on African American images in film. So we've asked him to join us at the table, because I am an expert in the field of arts and plays and films, and this conversation about sports is another domain that needs to get introduced to me, as well as some of our listening audience. So we've asked him to join us to ask you a few questions in regard to the sport, the science, I'd even guess, of basketball. So Sean, it's on you now to take over this show and ask our distinguished guest, the Coach Dennis Ray Gates II, a question or two.
Okay, then. So, Coach Gates, when it comes to the new generation of players, do you feel like their mindset has changed when it comes to how they approach the game?
Well, I think coaching altogether has changed, and whenever you can teach young people the skills to carry over into approaching not just basketball but anything in their life, you look at the forms of communication that exist, whether it be text messaging, Facebook, Instagram, all those things exist now. So as a leader, as a coach, we have to reach these young people in a different way. We still are limited in our communication if we just rely on just a conversation. Well, sometimes they don't hear just the conversation. Sometimes they hear the tone and not the actual message. So it's important that we continue to dialogue the way they receive things in society. But the bigger picture is it has changed, but also teaching and also the distractions around them have changed. And as the distractions increase, you have to find different ways to reach young people.
Okay. And do you believe it's your job to keep them away from the distractions, or you feel like you have to just give them the knowledge to already have that ability to?
Well, I think the way I've learned is not that my mentors or teachers or professors kept me away from those distractions. They educated me on what those distractions could lead to. And keeping me away from the obstacles isn't the process of growth. It's actually getting through the obstacles and not just turning around a complete 180 and going the other direction. It's more so facing it head on, navigating, being able to be prepared when you face them, but also recognizing and being a step before it and recognizing when it's going to happen so that you can be prepared properly.
Now, Sean, in the relationship conversations that we develop with individuals is that it's a give and receive situation. So we have asked the coach to consider giving to us. So one of the things we would want to do is show him we can help him develop a larger audience, a larger fan base that we have the history of through Cleveland State University and with support of Black Studies. What do you recommend for us in terms of getting more of our students right here on campus to come over and support our teams? Because there's more than the men's basketball team, there's the women's basketball team, and there are other sports. Right now we have the distinguished pleasure of having Coach Gates at the table. So how do we get more students to our basketball games?
Well, I was thinking probably before the season starts, maybe have a scrimmage of the men's basketball team, invite students for free to come. I mean, even though the games are free also. Maybe have a three-point contest, a dunk contest, something to just show the player skills that we have. We have a lot of new players now and a lot of new faces on campus. And the students see how, their talents with dribbling, shooting the ball, passing, and all that in the scrimmage. They'll probably be more intrigued to come to the games.
Now, we have already also invited our coach to consider supporting us with our Dr. William Wasson Basketball Challenge, and that's where we have distinguished members of the Cleveland and Fire Department join us to play with our students, particularly with Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and having had the pleasure of asking Dr. Julian Earls to support that initiative with his fraternity, we extend that to our students. Now, we are careful in inviting the students to play who are members of the basketball team because we don't want any risk or injuries, but we do want to think that maybe they'll support us on the sideline and or come and do some free throw shots from the foul line. So with that, there are other things that we do through Black Studies and the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center we plan to do to invite the entire team to our events. And that allows me to connect in our discussion earlier, Coach, about the legacy of, yes, Dr. Howard A. Mims, but his status as a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, his interest with sharing his 20 pearls with our community through a connection with Coach John McClendon. There is the history that we have as we celebrate 50 years of Black Studies at Cleveland State University. We are able to reflect on the fact that Coach John McClendon and Howard A. Mims, Director of Black Studies, were brothers and brotherly, very much so. Can you talk about your awareness of Coach John McClendon and give us our history lesson through Black Studies and let us see that individuals who are joining us from other cities and joining our community can reflect on the legacy of individuals and then therefore make greater connections, sir.
Right. So before I got in this profession of coaching, I wanted to educate myself not only on the path of coaches, but what's the history of coaches that look like me? What have they had? My mentor, George Raveling, I knew his path. I knew Leonard Hamilton's path. but what other African American coaches was out there? And John McClendon, he stands out as the first African American coach in college basketball at a predominantly white institution.
And that was Cleveland
and that was
State
here
University.
at Cleveland State University. And it's one of the reasons that drew me closer to making a decision to come here, because of that rich tradition that exists and that I've always grown to know. Whenever you have anyone connected directly to Dr. James Naismith, who invented the game of basketball as a assistant at the University of Kansas after he transferred from Kansas City Junior College at that time, you know, he had an opportunity. And that opportunity was to learn from the inventor himself, which led to, you know, the North Carolina Central success, the Tennessee State University, even Hampton Institute at that time, and also at Kentucky University. But his last college job was here at Cleveland State University. And it drew me closer to wanting to be a part of the success here and build a program. But it's also one of those things that he's a pioneer in college basketball. There's no doubt, and obviously he's a Hall of Famer.
And one of the things that I was assigned to do by Dr. Howard A. Mims, Director of Black Studies, was to establish the Curtis Wilson Colloquium lecture series. Right. And Coach John McClendon gave us annual lectures about African Americans in sports. So we were able to see him enlighten our community, not only about those in the sport of basketball, but how individuals advanced in other fields and were being celebrated. And then too, as I talk with you, he definitely made certain that he was not going to just bring the black students to our programs, that all of the students deserved this introduction to this legacy of African Americans, so that we celebrate ourselves as a great university of higher learning and as a community here. One of the things as well, when you joined us, you were celebrated with some role models being present and introducing you to our campus, and you also had a family to introduce. So with that, this idea of Cleveland State University being another family for you to become a part of, can you share who the supporters are who join you here in Cleveland and even at Cleveland State University?
Well, at the press conference, my wife, Jocelyn Gates, she obviously was there front row center. Our children, Avery Lee and son, Dennis Ray Gates III, were here. And the others that came was my brothers, my sisters, my nieces, nephews, my dad, my mom, my stepfather, my high school coach, my college coach, my mentor, Leonard Hamilton, and obviously those on this campus. It wasn't just my family. I expected my family to support me, but when I looked up, the emotions that took me was seeing the support in the room from students, professors, janitors, people that live their day-to-day lives on this campus. And that meant the most to me in this time of support, because I do feel at home, and those people are responsible for that. Being able to entrench myself in the Cleveland community is very important, because I don't just look at my responsibility on this campus and to our young people. I look at my responsibility in the community with those that are growing up no different than I grew up. Someone was there in my life that I could look up to, and I want to serve that in this community here in Cleveland.
So that I am an individual recognized as not wanting to keep the ball and take all the shots all the time. I have a teammate here, a student who is advancing his interest in this conversation of sports journalism. So I'm going to pass it off to him and ask him to take this shot with a next follow-up question to our distinguished guest, Coach Gates II.
So when you're building the team, before you even get to meet the players, what is like your scouting strategy of what type of player you're looking for? Is it more of a, let me build a culture, like a system with my team, or I'm just looking for the best talent?
Well, I'm never looking for the best talent, because talent alone doesn't get you and will not win championships. I look at the total person. I look at the mature phase of the undeveloped phase and where they'll go after, me and my staff and this community and this campus does its job in forming that individual into that total package. Because you'll be shocked if a kid here, with the resources that we have in this area, engulfs themselves on this campus, in this community, the byproduct that we'll receive on the court will be tremendous. You'll have a totally different communicator. You'll have a totally different, mature young man, and those are the things that I look at. I don't want a kid coming here that's peaked out in their development as a person, as a communicator, as a player, as a student. I want to be able to impact someone's life. I want this campus to be able to impact someone's life, and I want the peers that they sit in classrooms with to impact their lives, and that's what it's about. That's what the community is about, and we have everything we need here at Cleveland State.
Now, I'm hearing there's been some outstanding work done by you already, Coach, in helping to be part of the progress of building this larger team, athletic department, showing again our interest in the development of the women's basketball team with the men's basketball team, because the larger team is led by Coach President Sands.
Right.
And then the celebrations that we have is this integration of all the players getting their chance to show their excellence on the court. What has been done already, and what are you anticipating being done after that?
Well, to have a leader like President Sands, who walks the grounds of campus every day to some capacity, who gets out and gets to know students, is someone that I would love to follow. He's our leader here on this campus as our president, and he's setting the president and setting the expectation very high, and we're here to follow that lead. But when it comes down to the entire scope of our department, we have an unbelievable athletic director, Scott Garrett. His leadership skills is tremendous, but our coaches are great. Coach Chris Kilsmeyer has been unbelievable in helping me in my transition. He's going to obviously build that women's program up to a championship level, and he's doing that every day. Those young ladies are working hard. I encourage you guys to come out and obviously support them as well. But our success is going to be predicated on our development as coaches as well. We can't stay the same. If we're asking our young people to develop, we have to continue to develop, and the only way we can do that is obviously sharpening each other's blade, professional development amongst each other, getting better, getting out, sharing ideas, and being on the same team. And this department is doing that, just that.
So that the networking that can be accomplished with you, Sean, and our fellow students that will show up to the games can also intersect with individuals on the larger professional scale, even with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Can you talk about how you envision work being done with them and work that you've accomplished with them already?
Well, on our board of trustees is Lynn Komorowski. He's the CEO of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he has a direct correlation to Cleveland State University. He's a member of our board of trustees here. And to have that dynamic in the sports city like Cleveland, who has unbelievable sports fans, there's no reason why in the same sentence you talk about Cleveland Cavaliers, you talk about the Cleveland Browns, you talk about the Cleveland Indians and the fans that they have. Why wouldn't we add to that sentence Cleveland State University athletics? Why wouldn't that be the case? But it starts with our students, our professors, our faculty, our staff here on campus, and they are fans of those three professional sports, and they're also fans of Cleveland State University. And I think that goes hand in hand in being able to put a product on our playing fields that will get them out and supportive.
And even getting the ball passed to our coach to be able to take that three-pointer in this interview is because of the larger team of Chase. So shout out to Chase Goldstein, who's part of your staff, who put me in touch with you. As Sean also made the efforts to get you to consider this Images radio show. We're looking at growing an audience, and we want our listening audience to understand how important you are in helping us to get back to those championships once again. here at Cleveland State University by asking you and appealing to you to come and attend the games, to get community groups and organizations to show your colors in supporting us here at Cleveland State University as well. So what other appeal do you make to the larger greater Cleveland community and area cities to say this is why you should come and support Cleveland State University and definitely the men's basketball team?
Well, we're building an unbelievable program, and our 3 C's is building championships in the classroom, on the court, and in the community. But we also have some pillars that we really focus on, and that's friendship, love, accountability, and trust, discipline, unselfishness, enthusiasm, and toughness. And that's what we preach every day. And for as long as our guys embody that, you'll see an unbelievable effort. It's more about quality before quantity. In my first year, I want to be judged on the quality. I want to have a championship quality. And until we put that foundational piece in, then we can start to expect the quantity. And before we ask anyone to come out and support us, it's more about us presenting ourselves in this community, giving and serving, before we ask those to come and support us. So we're going to continue to be out in communities. If there's an event, community service opportunities that you guys can reach out to, please reach out to us, because I think that's important. It's important that our guys get out in schools and read to young people and be visible in these environments or communities that needs us. And same as me, same as my staff, and we're going to serve before we ask anyone to come and serve us and give to us.
And our listening audience just heard you as I make the appeal, because we also have the Campus International Elementary School and High School and MC Squared STEM School here on campus. We provide a program and have our students stand in the window as legendary historical figures, and there are so many legendary basketball players who can be represented as students standing in the window as mannequins for our celebration of Black history with that event. But sadly to announce again, at this time your intersection comes with the passing of Dr. A. Grace Lee Mims, who was the wife of Dr. Howard A. Mims, who was the director of Black Studies prior to Dr. Michael Williams, who passed away and then passed the torch on to Dr. Donna White, who then passed it on to our current director, Dr. Thomas L. Bynum. So we give that shout out to the Mims family, the Lee family as well, in knowing that she was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and then that Dr. Mims, a member of your fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So if there are expressions from our community to support us in our 50 years here at Cleveland State University with a Black Studies program, 1969, and an Afro-American Cultural Center, now the Howard A. Mims African American Cultural Center, please give us a call at 216-687-3655. Announce your interest and your support for us to continue beyond the 50 years here at Cleveland State University. Once again, the number to call is 216-687-3655. We thank you, Coach Gates, for joining us. We thank you, Sean. Sean, you've shown some growth.
Sean, good job, Sean.
In this conversation, and we're looking forward to following your career and seeing if you can get some other guests to join us here on Images. Most definitely, we would like to thank our listening audience for joining us for Images.
You have been listening to Images, a public affairs radio program produced by the Cleveland State University Black Studies program and this station. The opinions expressed were those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Cleveland State University, the Black Studies program, or the station. We hope you have enjoyed the music performed by the Jazz Heritage Orchestra. If you are interested in finding out more about the Black Studies program, call 216-687-3655 or visit our website at www.csuohio.edu/blackstudies.